I just returned to my ranch after months away, the tires of my truck crunching against the gravel driveway as the evening sun painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson. The familiar sight of my barn, weathered but proud, filled me with a sense of calm I had missed. My Harley gleamed under its cover near the porch, waiting for its next ride. All I wanted was peace. Maybe to sit with a cup of coffee, listen to the wind through the trees, and feel the weight of the city fall off my shoulders. But peace doesn't last long when you live near HOA Karen. She was already there, waiting, like a predator who had been tracking her prey, arms crossed, sunglasses perched too high on her nose, and that ever-present clipboard tucked under her arm. She marched toward me as if she owned the place. Her first words weren't even a greeting. "Your barn is an eyesore," she snapped. "It needs repainting immediately. And that motorcycle, completely unacceptable. You'll need to remove it from the driveway." I couldn't help but laugh. After months of working 12-hour days, after sleepless nights on the road, this was the welcome home I received? Shook my head and said calmly, "Karen, this ranch isn't under your HOA's control. My land is private property. Your rules stop at the end of your subdivision." I thought that would be the end of it, a simple reminder of boundaries. But if there was one thing Karen hated more than noise, it was being told she had no power. Her eyes narrowed, lips tightening into a line. "Oh, you think you're above the rules?" she hissed, stepping closer. "Nobody in this community gets a free pass. I'll show you how we deal with people who disrespect the HOA." Before I could respond, she whipped out her phone like a gunslinger pulling a revolver. With a few furious taps, she was on the line with 911. Her voice carried across the yard, loud enough for the neighbors who had peeked through blinds to hear. "Yes, officer. We have a man here refusing HOA compliance. He's aggressive, he's violating codes, and his property is unsafe." It didn't take long for the flashing lights to appear. 2 patrol cars rolled down the street, sirens briefly chirping as they parked in front of my ranch. Neighbors emerged, some in robes, others with phones recording, whispering among themselves as if the nightly news had arrived at their doorstep. To them, I must have looked like a criminal cornered in his lair, caught red-handed with what? A barn needing paint? A motorcycle parked in the driveway? The absurdity almost made me laugh again, but the weight of those stares pressed down harder than I expected. The officers approached carefully, hands resting near their belts, while Karen fluttered beside them like a proud general leading troops into battle. "That's him!" she exclaimed, pointing at me as if she'd uncovered a fugitive. "He refuses to obey our rules. He's a threat to the neighborhood." I stood still, calm but resolute, letting them come closer. My mind wasn't racing with panic. Instead, I thought of the bigger picture, of the role I carried that Karen, in her arrogance, had no idea about, because I wasn't just another homeowner. I wasn't some rancher who could be bullied with fines, intimidation, or false police, or calls. My work, my authority, stretched far beyond Karen's cul-de-sac. As the officers prepared to question me, I knew something she didn't. Her desperate attempt to teach me a lesson had just set in motion a chain of events that would unravel everything she thought she controlled. The officers stood before me, notebooks in hand, eyes narrowing as they prepared to ask their routine questions. Karen hovered at their side, her grin sharp and smug, certain victory already dancing in her mind. She thought she had won, that the weight of law was about to crash down on me, crushing me under the same rules she had weaponized for years, but I didn't flinch. Slowly, I reached into my truck, pulling out a leather folder. Inside were the documents I always carried for official travel, credentials signed and sealed by the federal office overseeing homeowners associations nationwide. I held them out for the officers without a word. They glanced down, their brows furrowing as they read. The air grew heavy. Their eyes flicked from the papers to me, then back again, as realization settled like a stone in their chests. One officer stepped back, lips parting slightly in shock. The other straightened his posture, suddenly respectful. Karen's smirk faltered. "What is that?" she demanded, her voice cracking. She tried to snatch a look, but the officers angled the documents away from her. Silence stretched, only broken by the murmurs of neighbors, recording from the sidelines. The authority Karen worshipped was slipping through her fingers, and she knew it. Finally, one officer cleared his throat. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "this gentleman is not under your HOA's jurisdiction. In fact—" He looked back at me, then lowered his tone. "Sir, it seems you have federal oversight here." Karen blinked rapidly, color draining from her face. "What? That's impossible. He's just a biker. He lives here like the rest of us." Her words tumbled out, desperate and frantic. She tried to wave her hands, to spin the story. "He's dangerous. He threatened my son. But the officer raised his palm, cutting her off. "Enough! You've made false claims to emergency services, harassed a private citizen, and attempted to misuse authority you don't even have." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. The smirk, the arrogance, the illusion of power, it all crumbled in front of her neighbors, in front of the cops she thought were her soldiers. The officers turned back to me, their tone now steady, professional, even apologetic. "We're sorry for the trouble, sir. Clearly this was a misunderstanding. We'll file a report noting the misuse of emergency services." They tipped their heads politely, then walked back toward their cruisers. Within minutes, the flashing lights were gone, leaving Karen exposed in the harsh glow of porch lamps and cell phone cameras. She stood there, pale and trembling, trying to summon excuses. I didn't know. I was just protecting the community." Her voice was small now, barely audible. The crowd, once whispering, now chuckled openly. Neighbors shook their heads, muttering about her constant harassment, her obsession with control. I stepped closer, my voice calm, but cutting. "Karen, you called the cops on the one man who oversees every HOA in America. You wanted to play power, games, but tonight you just ended them." She staggered back, words failing, her empire of intimidation collapsing before her eyes. In that moment, she finally understood. Her reign was over.